All right, what's going on YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. So I wanted to get a chance to speak of Claressa Shields. She did win a fight a few weeks back uh, against Havana Habazine. Okay, this is a girl that she was supposed to fight a few months back, but we all had that whole issue. Um, and so I don't want to really bring it up, because it's over. They moved on from it, but the fight was rescheduled, and they actually fought a couple weeks ago. Okay, so now what Claressa Shields is doing is she's setting all kind of records. Okay, she's already became undisputed, and while undisputed at 160, now she's unified champion down at 154. Both of these titles they fought for were vacant at 154. All right. So she's only 10 fights in. Okay. And these titles, her winning all of these titles is crazy. Like, when we look down in the future, when female boxing becomes bigger and bigger, this is going to be one hell of a accomplishment. And it's going to be hard for another fighter to do this because Claressa is still very young in her career. She can just continue winning more titles and defending her titles. All right. So I'm sure she's going to get stripped of titles at some point because, you're going to have obligations to meet and stuff like that. But regardless, what she's doing right now is going to be very difficult to duplicate later down the line. All right. Especially with when the sport grows as far as female boxing. It will grow. I think it will grow. It's getting a lot more exposure right now. Okay, so I think down the line it will grow. It's gonna take time. I know, she's been, really on the feminist end when it comes to this. Basically saying that female boxers deserve to get paid much more. They deserve much more viewership and um, promotion and stuff like that. Listen, this is how I feel about that, and I'm gonna keep it 100, like I always do. People have to want to watch. Okay, you can't force people to want to watch and pay for things because women like to watch males fight or play ball. Okay, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's women. That's what they like. I'll even take it further. Women like going to female strip clubs. It is what it is. It is what it is. They like to see, they like to do what the guys are doing. I mean, they may be conditioned to it because that's the way it's always been. But regardless of the reason, people can just buy tickets and go to your events. But they're not selling a lot of tickets because unfortunately people are just not as interested. It's not that anyone has anything against you or women. They just are not that interested. They're not. It's nothing against women. It's like two different sports. Yeah, it's both boxing, but it's different. The fights are different. Okay? And many people are just not as interested. And that's the reality. It's nothing to be offended for. There are more males that are into female boxing than females. The problem isn't men. Women are not that interested, and women dominate the population. If they're not interested, how are you going to make more money? You get what I'm saying? Like, so I think what Claressa needs to do, and when it comes to ticket sales and stuff, that brings more money. You're not going to get these high purses if People are not buying tickets. The demand is just not quite there yet, and isn't quite there. And the only reason why Layla, as talented as Layla was, and I'll speak on her too, is because of the name. This is Muhammad Ali's daughter. But if her name was Brandy Green, random name, and she was the same exact person, we probably wouldn't even know who she was. You know, at least most boxing fans, I'm not even talking about in general, I'm talking about just boxing fans alone, probably wouldn't even know. It's just that's the way it is. Look at the WNBA. You know, they're fighting to make more money, and people are just not showing up. And I know MMA, female MMA is bigger, and they're making more money, and they're having pay-per-views, and that's great. That's great. There are bigger names over there, bigger stars. Okay, but it is what it is. It's bigger there. It's bigger in the sport. But it's also a different sport. And let's be true. Ronda Rousey brought more fans to the sport. Now there's different fighters. There's people that's beating her up, and it is what it is. Holly Holm is one of them. She went over there. She used to be a boxer. But why do you think she went over there? Because the money was there. It's not quite there in boxing yet. So just be patient. And this is not a video to knock Claressa Shields. I like Claressa Shields. But just be patient. Keep doing your thing. If you want to dive a little bit into the MMA world, do that. Train. You're still very young. Train. Learn how to do some takedown defenses. There's guys in MMA that's just better at striking. They don't want to get taken down. So they work on their defense while they're down and ways to get out of holds more so than actually try to submit people. They work on their defensive skills when it comes to that. So being that you're a boxer, you would be considered a striker over there. Work on that. And maybe you can dive a little bit into the MMA world. That's another option. If not, keep doing your thing as a boxer. Keep collecting belts. Keep having defenses. Because, she's running around calling herself the GWOAT, and that's cool. That's what you want to do, then that's cool. And it's a great way to promote yourself. I have no problems with her doing that. All right? You calling out Laila Ali. I don't want to see the fight personally because Laila hasn't fought in over 10 years. And to be honest with you, I think Claressa is better than Laila Ali. I'm talking about if Laila was still active. I'm talking about prime Laila. I think Claressa is a little sharper than her. I think Claressa might beat her. I mean, of course they would have had that fight. That we would never see that fight. But I think Claressa is a little bit better than Laila was. Now Ann Wolfe on the other hand, I don't know. Ann Wolfe was crazy. I think Ann Wolfe would be a problem for anyone. But if I don't want to see a Laila Ali fight, and I don't want to see any fights of people just coming back out of nowhere, or I don't want to see any kind of fight like that. But if you want to promote yourself as a GWOAT, that's fine. The networks do it all the time with this pound for pound crap. They were calling Lomachenko pound for pound when he only was like 5 fights in with a loss. So I don't care. They was calling Roman Gonzalez pound for pound. They were, this is what they do. To promote fighters, it is what it is. If you want to promote yourself and call yourself the GWOAT, that's great. All right, that was great. Do what you got to do. But to be real, there's really not enough fighters out there. I was just looking on BoxRec. There's only like 30 active female fighters in that division. When I say active, I mean a lot of them don't even have wins. Some of them don't even have wins. You look up middleweight, it's like 40 fighters. Or junior middleweight, it's like 40 fighters. Like, when you go up to any division in the males category, it's like close to 1,000, over 1,000. Like, you're the GWOAT. It's not too many. There's no opposition out there. And she knows this. So saying you the GWOAT, there's nothing really to compare to. You know, it's not a long history of women boxing. And even when you look into the past, there still wasn't a lot of opposition back then. You know, just keep doing your thing, keep winning titles. At the very end of it all, when we're all older and we look back, and when there's new fighters out there, younger fighters, and they're gonna look at you and look at you as, if not the best, one of the best. Absolutely. But the sport it still needs to grow. You know, that's like looking at UFC 5, or no, not even. I could take it a little further because I was watching UFC since the first one. It's like looking at UFC 20 and saying I'm the greatest of all time. I mean, look how many fighters that's came along since then, since UFC 20. You know, back then at the time, Royce Gracie looked like he was the greatest at one point. Look who's come along, and look how the sport evolved since then. You know, Amanda Nunes could probably beat a lot of those guys up, literally. And I don't like doing that. I don't like doing that, but it's evolved so much. You know, MMA evolved. Look what happened when Gracie first came back and fought. Is it Matt Serra? Matt, I can't remember. I'm more of a casual MMA fan now, so I don't remember. I used to be a diehard back then. It was Matt. It might have been Matt Serra. I can't remember. But anyway, regardless, you guys get what I'm saying. So anyway, listen, keep doing your thing. It was a good win. You was able to drop Ivana. You know, you gave her a boxing lesson. It was a good match. Very, very talented boxer. Very, very talented. But sometimes when she goes on these rants and stuff, it's just like, man, like you seem so she seems so angry all the time, and she shouldn't be that way, you know? I think she would sell better if she wasn't so angry all the time. And I think even though Ronda Rousey sold a lot, I think after she got popular, she started becoming this other person that a lot of us wanted to see lose, because the sportsmanship wasn't there, and she seemed to be angry and disrespectful in every interview. So there was a point where I thought she was cool, and then when she became like the best, she turned into a different person. And I don't want to see that in Claressa Shields. It's like every time I see her, not every time, I don't want to say that, but there's a lot of interviews where she seems like to be complaining and just like, nah, like, yo, you gotta be cool. Have a little like charm. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's not her. Maybe that's not her. Maybe she's just always fired up. I don't know. I don't know her. But what I am saying is, you know, like sell yourself. Like chill. Keep winning. Keep doing your thing. And if you want to dip into the MMA world too, go for it. And one thing I just want to say about MMA, listen, boxers, if you're gonna fight MMA fighters, you gotta fight them on their side too, on their turf. There should be a 2-fight contract. I know Floyd did it with Conor. I know a few boxers gone over the hill boxers have gone over there and tried the MMA thing. Nah, man, I don't want to see no more of them shits unless it's a 2-fight deal and the boxer's gonna go over there and do what they have to do. Because MMA, it looks like when MMA fighters go over to the boxing world, it's like a handicap. Like you beat them, but it's like, so what? You know, it's like when Floyd fought that Japanese dude. This dude is a kicker. He can't kick you, then what's the point? You know? So that's how I feel with that. If Claressa's gonna ever go over there, if you're gonna fight Amanda Nunes or whoever it is you decide to fight, make it a 2-fight deal. Because you have the advantage as boxers. And you would outbox Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes has hands in the MMA world. So does Conor McGregor. But look what Conor looked like against an old Floyd. Let's say Conor had fought Canelo that same night. You know, a guy that's more of his size and, you know, a bigger punch. Mayweather was able to stop him without even being active and being much smaller. You know? What do you think would have happened if Canelo was in there that night? Canelo would have destroyed him. And Conor could fight. That boy could fight. He's a hell of a fighter. A hell of a striker. Let me say that. In the MMA world, it's not too many guys that have better hands and feet than Conor. But in the boxing world, he's just average. All right? So I'm going to leave it at that, man. Claressa, keep doing your thing. Just the GWOAT stuff, you know, I mean, listen, it's good for promotion. So if you want to call you that, I have no issues with that. But all this stuff with the money and this and that, I'm like, listen, man, you're a fighter at the end of the day. And if you keep winning, they'll have no choice but to accept you. At the end of the day, you might not be as popular as some of these guys, but you are a lot more popular than a lot of male fighters out there. And there are a few advantages that you have of being a female boxer, being that you can actually hold so many titles in 2 different divisions at the same time with only having 10 fights. There's no male that can do that. Even with Lomachenko getting a championship fight in his second fight, there's no male boxers that can hold as many titles as Claressa Shields can in that quick of a career. You know why? Because there's too much. There's too many competitors out there. You can't do it. You can't do it. So much money. Too many networks, so many promoters, so many organizations. Too much. Too much. But as a female boxer, you can make accomplishments like that very, very quickly. So take advantage of what you have as a female fighter instead of just complaining about what you don't have. All right? That's my views on it. See you guys on the next one. Peace.